the Photography Online podcast in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods.
Coming up in our May podcast, we discuss why Iceland Air are on the hunt for a terrible photographer, why a three-handed Kodak shooter was spotted on a giant billboard, and the guy who could have used an extra hand juggling 14 different cameras at the Artemis Launch last month. We also look at the watch that is also a light meter, the wallet that is also a memory card holder, and the ultimate lens hood, which is dead handy if you fly fighter jets.
And now, please welcome your panellists. A man who is so complicated, he makes the Sony menu system look simple. It's Marcus McAdam.
Complexity is my middle name.
And a man who can kick a ball like David Bailey and take a photo like David Beckham. It's James McCormick.
Oh, I can bend it like Bailey.
And here to keep them both in check, a woman I'm told needs no introduction.
And there it is. Obviously, the budget ran out right about then. But anyway,
now, Ruth, let me interrupt there. Okay.
Yes.
We felt a bit bad that you never get a big intro, and recently one of my customers let it slip that he used to be an announcer in a gentleman's club in the US. So I took him aside and I said, listen, I explained the situation, said we do this podcast, and I said we need a big intro for our host Ruth. So on your system there should be a little file that says Ruth intro.
There is a mystery file that I'm not allowed to touch.
So you play that and tell us if this is good enough for you, if it's big enough for you.
Okay, is this safe? This is a family-friendly podcast.
Go for it.
Right, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and indeed, all lovers of photography, the moment you have hopefully been waiting for is finally here. Things are about to get serious on the airwaves. Some say she's photographic royalty, but to be honest, they're probably in the minority. However, she turns up regardless. So whether we like it or not, it's time to put our hands together for the one, the only, the
Oh, well, there you go. All the years of rubbish intros completely made up for. That's fantastic. I feel like I should have that attached to like every door that I walk into, and it just kind of pings off, or the doorbell.
Well, certainly the bathroom door, because then you get the echo as well. Then
This is true.
But thanks to Ken from North Texas,
Thank
or
you,
as
Ken.
he would say Oklahoma, but it's North Texas as far as I'm concerned. So he kindly did that for us.
Amazing, Ken. That's fantastic. I think we'll keep him in our file somewhere if we ever need anything particularly epic. I love it. Anyway, welcome to our April podcast. I am Ruth, as you've just heard, your host, joined once more by Marcus and James. Looking forward to it's a beautiful day. I got to say this. I know last month I was mentioning the ice cream vans being out and about. Another beautiful day in Scotland. James obviously is the resident Irishman who lives in England. James, what's it like down there?
I'm in London at the moment, Ruth, and it is tropical. It's been tropical for weeks, and it's tropical again.
I always find it interesting that the Londoners are the ones that complain the most about the British weather, and I think the Londoners in general are the ones who get the finest.
What a load of utter tosh coming from you. All you do is moan about the weather.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ruth, having grown up in London, okay, when it's a nice day in London, it becomes really kind of close and clammy and horrible.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant thing. Whereas up here in Scotland, it can be a nice day and it's still fresh. It's not too humid.
And you have that element of surprise in Scotland as well when it's a nice day.
Exactly, and you're like, what is that bright thing in the sky?
I know. You drop to your knees and pray towards this oddity in the sky.
It's one of those things we always say that we could have 7 months of rain, and then as soon as we get one nice day, it's just spectacular enough to make you forget. So.
Well, enjoy the midges, because they'll be breeding like billio in the bogs.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you for spoiling our one nice day, James. Anyway, we've got good stuff coming up on the podcast this month. We've got our usual news stories. We're going to be looking at some stuff, and of course, the Photography Online podcast quiz. I have been totting up, guys, because you've been going on about doing points on aggregate and all this stuff. Well, you are at the moment.
When you say we've been going on about it, I don't recall me going on about it. I think that might be...
I think you were like, can we do it on points? Because there was one particular quiz where you got more than usual, although you lost. No. But anyway, we'll come to that. We've got the quiz coming up as well. Let's launch right into the news stories, though. Now, last month we were talking, of course, about the Artemis mission, which was just about to launch, or had just launched, I think. There's been so many news stories came out of not the back end of that. There's been so many news stories came out while that was going on. Actually, it's really racked up the interest, I think. But Marcus, why don't you give us a bit of an update on what's been going on?
Yeah, so this is a story about one photographer, one rocket launch, and 14 cameras. So it's a guy called Stephen Maddow, and if that name rings a bell, we actually had him on the PO Live show probably a couple of years ago now, on a feature that we used to run called Photo Detectives, where we would look at photos that we suspected might not be true, but were claimed to be true. And I found this one of a rocket launch going up in front of the moon, and everything about it just smacked of being fake, because the chances of getting the shot as it was claimed was so minute that I just couldn't believe it. But anyway, so I got in touch with the photographer, this guy Stephen Maddow, and he came on the show and he explained to us exactly how he got the shot. And when you heard how much planning and input went into it, then I kind of had to accept that, yeah, it was real. But even he admitted that there was an amazing amount of luck involved in it. But anyway, this guy, he specialises in photographing rocket launches. He's got 10 years experience under his belt, so he knows what he's doing by now. Now, for the Artemis 2 launch, he used a total of 14 cameras, 7 of which were remote cameras, which he set up at the launch site, and they were triggered by an audio trigger. So basically, he set them up and then they just go to sleep, because I think he had to set them up a day before the launch.
Yeah.
But when he set them up, it wasn't clear when the launch was actually going to happen. So for all he knew, it could have been another week before the launch happened. So you can't just leave your camera turned on because the battery will run out. So what happens is the cameras basically go to sleep, and when they hear a noise, it wakes them up, and then they start shooting like Billio on the predetermined settings that he had set. And they had to shoot in manual as well. And that was the other challenge for this guy, is that he didn't know what time of day the launch was going to happen. It might have been at night. It might have been, in the middle of the day when it was very bright. So he had to set all the exposures kind of guessing. And he obviously had some with wide angle lenses, some with more telephoto lenses. But his most successful shot by far was a telephoto shot of just the engines igniting while the rocket was still on the tower. And the exposure settings for that were ISO 100, f16, and then 1/8,000th of a second. So basically, you can't get any brighter than that and still get a reasonable exposure. I mean, he could have maybe stopped down to f22, so you got one extra stop there before you're having to put neutral density filters on the front of it. But I guess for that shot, because he knew what the exposure was going to be, it wouldn't have mattered whether it was during the day or during the night, because the illumination is from the rocket launchers themselves. And normally when you see a rocket going up, the flames coming out of it are just pure white because it's far exceeded the dynamic range of the camera. But on this particular shot, you can see all the detail in the flames, and then they're beautiful and yellow, and the glow on the tower. I mean, it's a fantastic photo.
I mean, it's just one of those shots you just keep staring at it, wanting to see more.
Exactly. The story says that he set 7 cameras up remotely, and he then viewed the launch from a press area, which is obviously a lot further away. So it says that he had 14 cameras in total, set 7 up as remote cameras on site. So my maths tells me that he must have had 7 cameras with him at the press site. James, can you imagine using 7 cameras on an event which maybe lasts a few seconds? I mean, how do you do that? You've only got 2 arms.
Well, yeah, I don't think it talks anywhere about him using assistants or anything either. And it does talk about how difficult it was to get accreditation. So getting extra accreditation for extra bodies would have been difficult. So yeah, I don't know how he did it. I guess those extra 7 cameras are possibly all triggered from one button somehow, but they're all different focal lengths or whatever.
Well, I was going to say I suppose you could custom make a remote trigger that is one button goes to 7 cables.
Yeah, I mean we used to have one in the old days for film cameras actually that would trigger two film cameras at the same time with one cable, one traditional push pedal cable release.
Yeah, so. And there'll be people listening to this now who are thinking, you old people stuck in the dark ages, you do know that remotes are wireless nowadays, but I wouldn't trust a wireless remote.
No,
not in a million years would you trust a remote wireless remote in this situation. It would have to be wired.
I'm curious about the audio trigger for the ones closer to the launch pad. I mean, is it set up to... I don't know how these things work. Are they set up for very loud noises? Could an alligator going past have set it off? You might have had all sorts of interesting shots beforehand.
I think you can set the threshold, and obviously a rocket going off. I mean, these cameras were fairly close to the rocket site. I mean, they had to be protected from the from the sort of like the debris.
They've got some funky housings, haven't they?
Yeah, and so I would imagine that the decibel noise of those rockets firing would have been loud enough to deafen most people. So
it'd be quite entertaining testing that though, wouldn't it, in your back garden?
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing BBC News coverage where the presenter was probably a couple of miles away from the rocket launch, and once it went up, you couldn't hear what they were saying anymore, and that was 2 miles away. So you can imagine what these cameras must be hearing. I don't know how far away they were, but they were a lot closer than any human was allowed. Put it that way.
Yeah, there's amazing images come out of this whole saga of them being up there. One of the ones, I mean, we can't obviously show things on the podcast, or there's a lot more we could actually talk about and look at. But one of the ones that intrigued me was we had the Earthrise, which we've talked about before on the show, the Earthrise image from the Apollo missions. They've managed to shoot an Earthset image, which is a very similar shot, but taken at night, basically, which is kind of cool, seeing the opposite side to it. But there's been so much stuff. They were allowed to take their phones up and record their phones. We were talking about that last month. So having all this extra kind of behind the scenesy stuff that the guys themselves have been done. There's been stories about how amazing they were in terms of actually their own photography. They were trained just before they went up to do this stuff. There's so many interesting stories that have actually come out of this. And you were saying earlier that it's had some of the most interest, I think, around a space launch.
Yeah, the danger is, though, Ruth, is that it's going to become very blasé because there's almost too much of it. There's like a flood of these amazing images. So when the next mission goes up, there won't maybe be the same interest because that's not going to the moon. But I think Artemis 4 is the one that's scheduled to actually land on the moon.
Okay.
And, by the time that's happened, everyone will, apart from actually obviously the landing section on the moon, everyone would have been bored with seeing, amazing photos of the booster engines igniting and the rocket going up and, the Earth behind the moon and everything. It'll be like, yawn, we've seen that too. And it's almost like we've had too much.
I don't know how it works. I feel bad for the Artemis 3 crew if that's the case, because Artemis 2 were the first ones. Artemis 4 will be on the moon. The poor Artemis 3s will be like, rats, we got the wrong number.
Yeah, my understanding is that Artemis 3 is basically just going up and practicing separation and redocking, because obviously when they land on the moon, they then have to take off and then redock with the spaceship to get them back.
Is that with the same crew? Do you know, being our resident space expert, is that the same crew?
I don't think so. I don't know, but I would doubt it because every mission seems to have its own individual crew.
I've seen images of the Artemis astronauts, and there are about 20 of them, so I'm assuming they're split between different missions. Anyway, you can of course research all that stuff for yourself and check out the pictures. NASA's own website, saying that, NASA has very many different ways of getting images out to you, but there's lots of fantastic shots up there. Also, check out the link that we'll put in the show notes for this particular story, and the guy who, like say, Stephen, we had him on the show on PO Live. I'll maybe put a link to that show, in fact, if I can find it as well, and so you can have a wee look and listen to him. But there are spectacular images there. You can feast your eyes on. We're going to move on to story number 2, James. Very different. What's this all about?
Airport says it will remove a giant AI billboard for featuring fake photographers, Ruth. That's what this story's about. So Manchester Airport here in the UK has put up a giant billboard And on it, there is a picture of two photographers. And as usual, this picture's been, is an AI mock-up, basically. So it's what we were talking about before. But of course, as is often the case, it's fallen flat on its face because one of the photographers appears to have three hands, which is actually really quite useful. So,
Well, it would be useful at a rocket launch if you had seven cameras.
I was
to
about
operate.
to say that. We often talk about, gadgets and gizmos to help you in your, but a third hand would be tremendous. So, and the thumbs are wrong, and there's just so much wrong. But basically, Manchester Airport are just, I kind of, when I was reading this, Ruth, I kind of lost the will halfway through it because a cheap advertising agency's put up a cheap picture that they've generated to try and save money rather than actually buy a proper photograph or get it done properly. And it's all about promoting the airport. And they've got two photographers, which, to be fair, in the picture between the two photographers, there is only four hands. Okay, in the two photographers. But one photographer has three and the other one only has one. And it says, there's a bag which should say Kodak on it.
Do you think, sorry, James, to interrupt, but do you think one photographer said to the other photographer, here, lend us a hand?
Yeah, he might have done, yeah. It's just, what this does is, Marcus and I have worked together for 30 years or something, and the one thing we hate is sloppiness. Whoever put this together is just so lazy and so sloppy. They should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves, really, for not spotting that it doesn't even say Kodak, on the bag, for spotting that there's the wrong number of hands on a human being. However, having said all of that, I love this, Ruth. Do you know why I love it?
Why?
Because it shows that if you are any good at your job or whatever, the cream will rise to the top. True photography will never be superseded by AI slop, which I quite like, and that people are calling out AI and junk photography. It's not just about it being AI, it's a piece of junk advertising and junk marketing, and people call it out, and I quite like that. So in the end, it's quite a good news story, really. The march of public opinion.
For me, it's the fact that somebody, I assume, and not knowing entirely how it works with AI-generated imagery en masse, perhaps, someone created that. And so, you feed in a prompt, it comes out, you look at it, and you make a decision. I mean, what happened in the looking at it stage that someone did not notice a third hand? And then, besides the fact that it went through all the various stages before it actually got up in a very, very public place.
Oh, there would have been lots of meetings about this, and it would have been shown in presentations, and all sorts of people would have chatted about it, and they should all go.
Yes, they should. And kudos to the guy that thought it was hilarious and mocked it most.
It is hilarious.
It is hilarious, and stuck that video up there. All right, well, let's go into our next story, which is a really fun one, actually. I'm looking forward to discussing this one. Marcus, what's this all about?
Yeah, so this is an airline who is looking for a really bad photographer.
Oh, hello.
Which, of course, it rules me out, but it might explain why we haven't seen Harry for a while. So the airline in question is Iceland Air, and they are specifically looking for a photographer who is, and this is their words, not aspiring, not improving, and definitely not professional, but is genuinely bad.
Where is Harry? Where is he?
Yeah, exactly. They want to reward this really untalented photographer with $50,000 worth of prizes and expenses and a 10-day trip to Iceland. So this is one of those rare scenarios where it pays to be untalented. So the genius behind this idea is to prove that Iceland as a location is so visually striking that anyone can come away with great photos of it, even if you're a terrible photographer. Applicants must be at least 21 years old. So does that rule Harry out?
Oh, just.
Yeah, he's getting towards double that now, I think.
They must not have a criminal record. That's definitely you out, James. And be fit enough to hike over uneven terrain. So they're the three things that you need to tick boxes for. So to apply, you need to answer 6 simple questions, which was on the Icelandic website. However, by the time this podcast is released, the deadline of April 30th will have passed. But I thought you might like to know what the 6 questions were, James.
Fire away, please.
Question number 1. How bad would you describe your photography skills? And it's multiple choice. The answers are truly awful, quite bad, bad but enthusiastic, occasionally okay, or above average.
Is this for 50 grand? Shocking.
Yeah.
Number one, then.
Question number 2. Compared to your friends, your photos are usually, and here's the options, definitely the worst, noticeably worse, a topic of discussion, surprisingly not bad, among the best.
Well, is this comparing to... Are you classed as my friend? And is this
yes.
for 50 grand? I'll go for the worst. Mine are the worst then. For 50 grand, I'll lower my standards.
Okay. This is where you might start falling down, though. How would you rate your English skills? Above average, good, fair, okay, or bed is what it says.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
which I think should be bad, but I'm not sure whether they've done that on purpose.
I think they must have. Hopefully, that's brilliant.
My English skills, well, they're above American and Australian.
Okay, so yeah.
And Scottish.
Question number 4. How do people usually react to your photos? And this is all with emojis, by the way. So we have the vomit emoji, the gritting teeth emoji, the smile emoji, the stars in the eyes emoji, and the mind blown emoji.
I can't stand emojis, as you well know, because I WhatsApp you pictures from people we know that have put emojis. Mind blown. I've taken a picture of a woodland. Oh no, and you just get some wood. I've forgotten. I've lost the will to live with it now. But I want to go to Iceland, and I want 50 grand.
All right. Well, okay. So let's go with the vomit emoji then. I reckon that'll maximise your chances of getting the prize. Question number 5. If something fun happens on a trip, what are you most likely to do? And here's the multiple choice answers. Share it online straight away, post a few highlights later, send it to friends, keep it mostly to yourself, probably not share it. Now, I think the right answer there, James, is to share it online straight away, because Iceland Air want you to be as proactive as possible with your post.
Maybe this gig's not for me after all.
No, I don't think so. And the final question, how comfortable are you with being in front of the camera? And the answers are very, quite, I can manage, uncomfortable, I'd prefer not to.
Depends on the level of clothing.
Yeah. So the chosen candidate will need to document their 10-day adventure with some marketing photos and videos, as well as participating in a broader marketing campaign.
Whoever wins this is going to be really, really irritating. You know it, don't you?
I'm just curious if anyone is going to think this is amazing, I can fake this. You know, someone who's actually a decent, or thinks they're a decent photographer, but wants to kind of play it down. I don't know, this is going to be a really interesting process. There'll be people scouring the internet trying to see if you've got a social media account.
It's a good idea. It's a nice idea for a campaign.
Good idea. Genius to the dude at Iceland Air who came up with it. I'm looking forward to seeing the results of this, actually. So, like Marcus said, the closing date for entries will have passed by the time the podcast comes out. But Marcus, do you know when we are due to see these? Is it going to be kind of a live 10 days?
Yeah, I think it's in June. Is the trip scheduled for June? So, but I don't think there's any dates, because obviously I think that will depend on who the winner is, and then they will
figure it out.
Decide on dates to. Yeah.
So follow Iceland Air on their various socials. It works. I'm going to do that and see what they're up to. Anyway, it's a really great story. I love that. Final story though, for this month, Marcus, is also to do with artwork. We do have a bit of a theme running on this side of things, but this is quite an interesting angle on it. Actually, tell us about this.
Yeah. So we've done a couple of stories recently, Ruth, about album cover photography, and this is another one. So US singer Olivia Rodrigo has been accused of copying a photographer's work for the cover of her new album, due to be released next month. It's titled "You Look Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love." Now the photo in question shows Rodrigo on a swing, upside down in a pink dress against a blue sky. The photo she's being accused of copying shows a girl on a swing, not in a pink dress, not against the blue sky, but admittedly upside down. Now, when you see the two photos side by side, there's no question in my mind that one is not copying the other. I mean,
really?
They are two completely different photos. Now,
have you lost your marbles?
Many fans of Rodrigo have come to her defence, posting photos of themselves as children on swings in similar poses to show that it's quite a common photo to have somebody on a swing inverted so that their head is closer to the ground than their feet. So there's been a couple of well-known photos, one by Michelle Yeoh and Jennifer Lopez. Yeah. They've also been photographed in very similar poses in the past, upside down on swings, but no one accused them of plagiarism. So it's widely believed that Rodrigo's new album cover photo is influenced by an 18th century painting called The Swing by Jean Honoré Fragonard. Have I pronounced that right?
It'll do.
Yeah, which shows a young lady in a pink dress upside down on a swing. However, there was no blue sky in the shot, so this is the part where the photographer of the Rodrigo image has really got creative because they thought, no, I'm going to put a blue sky behind that. So we should praise and admire album cover photography and hope it makes a return and to as big as it was in the 1970s and 1980s.
And the 90s and noughties. Hello, some classic Peter Andre stuff out there.
But I think that album cover photography started to decline when CDs came out because they weren't as big and therefore it wasn't as visually important.
What, and they hired slightly more rubbish photographers? I know that's where you're going with this.
I think that was the beginning of the end for album cover photography is when CDs came out because it was a smaller.
Well, I would agree, but it is. Folks, you have to go and look at the link below and tell me that this is not a piece of There's nothing wrong with plagiarising, by the way, so it's not even a criticism necessarily. But how you can possibly say that this picture wasn't inspired by the other one, I think...
there's so many images out there. There's hundreds.
So James...
Yes,
let me give you another example, okay? If there was another album cover of a man leaning against a wall... and someone said, well, that's just copying another photo of another man leaning against the wall. I mean, it's just a common pose that people do. I mean, if you're on a swing...
And we look at the chain of the swing, look at the angle, look at the grips, look at everything. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But it is.
I totally disagree. I think it's just a common pose that if you were going to photograph somebody on a swing, you'd think, okay, I'm going to photograph them at the highest point because it's more dramatic, and that's what you end up with. I mean,
that is the way the chains will be. That's
exactly. What do you want the ropes to be doing? Doing an S bend?
Honestly, it's naivety is unbelievable. However. It's actually quite a nice picture. It's quite nicely produced. It's not overly done as either. What do you think to the actual image?
I like the picture, and I just don't see anything wrong with it. And it's just a girl on a swing.
It's just a girl on a swing.
I applaud. No, I invite everybody who's listening to this to go and have a look at the link, which will show you the Rodrigo photo, which is by far the best photo anyway, and the one that she's accused of copying. And personally, I don't really see much a similarity between the two, other than the pose itself.
Well, I don't see a problem with it, is the slight difference. But I do, the problem with the copying, but I do think that the end result picture in this day of oversaturated nonsense is actually quite innocent and nice and nicely produced and nicely done. So, and I don't think it matters where the photographer got their inspiration from in this instance.
There you go. I got to say, I just clicked on the link that showed her apparent original inspiration, the painting, and the girl in a forest with a very voluminous dress on. I would love to have seen that take and what she's done. But I agree with Marcus. I think that's what it looks like if you're upside down on a swing.
Oh, I've just clicked on that link, Ruth. I've got an idea for a picture, Marcus. Ruth, get yourself a big meringue. We're off into the forest.
Anyway,
Who wants to see a picture of Ruth M. Taylor in a big meringue on a swing? We could do that, couldn't we, Marcus? Yep. I tell you what, if you Google Wistman's Wood and Devon as well, we can't go in there, but it looks a bit like that. So we could get you in there. Yeah. We'll get you swinging away, Ruth. We've got Harry and Nick as a couple of cherubs in the background pulling on you.
Right, okay, definitely leaving that story behind, but do check it out in the show notes if you think you might have an opinion on it. And that is it for the news stories for this month.
The Photography Online podcast in partnership with King Joy Tripods.
Yeah, Massive thank you to Kingjoy Tripods for supporting us this year. Every month we are playing a clip of one of the team using a Kingjoy tripod somewhere in the world, and from the clues that they provide we are trying to work out where they are and what they are taking a photo of. Now, last month it was Marcus's turn. He was in Hong Kong, and more specifically he was on Victoria Peak, which James almost got right. He got the Victoria part right, I think. But this month we thought we would travel a little bit further afield to our esteemed colleague who we're missing very much. I haven't seen for quite a while. Yes, we are. And so here he is.
Hi, Ruth. You join me as I'm set up for some wildlife photography in the African bush. Now, you might think I've just given the answer away, but I'm going to need something a bit more specific than the continent I'm currently on. I've set myself up down low next to a waterhole in the hope of some close-up images as animals head for a drink. So, what about the area I'm in? Well, it's well known for being visible from space. It's got a high density of big game like elephants, as well as one of the only rivers in the world that never reaches the sea. But to help me, I'm using a rather specialised tripod, in that it's designed specifically for wildlife photographers. It comes entirely with a camouflage coating, which might not sound that important, but it does help to break up the outline of my three-legged friend. There's two sizes available, the C85M and the C86M, but I've got the lighter C85 for this trip as I'm travelling quite a bit and don't need the extra height of the C86. I've also got the matching camouflage gimbal head, which allows me to perfectly balance my heavy 600mm lens without having to lock the head. And I need this to react quickly to the action. On which note, actually, I've got a few baboons heading my way, so I'm just going to keep my voice down. I'm going to leave you there and try to catch up with you later.
Did Harry have a problem with flatulence, do you think, during that recording?
What, deep in his African bush?
Yeah. Now, until he said Africa, I was just automatically going to say he was probably in Iceland applying for that Iceland Air gig. You know, bad photographer.
He's in, Ruth, because of course I know this one.
Oh, don't give it away. Don't give it away.
No, of course I'm not. Of course I'm not. But he's in one of the most beautiful places in the entire world.
Now, I do know this because I've been communicating with Harry. And for the last couple of weeks, he's been telling me that he's had COVID. Okay, and that he's been feeling quite unwell.
He's got malaria.
And just yesterday, he sent me a message saying it's not COVID, it's malaria. So if you think that Harry was sounding a little bit under the weather there, we have to give him a little bit of slack because he did that with a full bout of malaria.
We've all done that.
Oh, wow. I was thinking he was sounding a little bit... I thought it was the baboons he's trying to be quiet for. Anyway, Harry, feel better soon. He's going to be back later on in the show to tell us where he is, and you can, of course, see the image that he's taken by checking out the link in the show notes. If you want to know what is available in the Kingjoy professional lineup, you just need to check out the Photography Online shop if you're in the UK, or go to kingjoy.com for international sales or to find out your nearest dealer. All right, well, it's time for...
The Photography Online Podcast Quiz.
Welcome back to the Pop Quiz. That's the Photography Online podcast quiz where I ask James and Marcus some photography related questions, and you of course can play along as well. The answers will be revealed at the end. Here's how it works: 5 rounds, each one worth a point for the correct or sometimes the closest answer. In the event of a tie, both of you guys will receive the point. Now, so far, James is in the lead, as we said earlier on, but I think one or both of you have decided that we're going to be doing an aggregate. So who knows? It is all to play for right now. I've got the scores so far. If you're interested, will this incentivise you at all? Okay, games wise or quiz wise, 3-1 right now to James. Points wise, 12-8. So I don't know if that's better. It's kind of roughly on par. But Marcus, there's still hope. We're not even halfway through the year yet.
Listen, Ruth, there's always hope. I like to be the underdog, and I like to make a late comeback.
Okay.
59 years he's been trusting to hope.
Testing out that theory. All right, well, let's move into our first round.
Round 1. Photography Trivia.
Alrighty, here we go. Here's the question. How many lens elements are in the Canon RF 24-105 lens? That's the f4L series lens.
Oh, crikey.
24
This is
to
playing
25.
into Marcus's nerdy world, although at least he doesn't like...
No, not at all. That's not my area of nerdiness, James.
No, well, that's just... Yeah, I haven't got a clue.
Have you ever looked inside a lens, James? Have you got rough ideas? Or is this more of a wild guess for you?
But not in modern lenses, no.
Okay. Well, I don't know how different they are.
Funnily enough, Ruth, I was looking at this very lens on eBay just before we started recording this show, but I didn't take note of how many elements it was because I'm about to go on a trip and I just want to take one lens with me, and the 24 to 105 is the lens. If you're only going to have one lens, then that covers the most options. So I was looking just 2 hours ago at this very lens, but
I'm curious, Marcus, because that's an RF lens. You don't have a mirrorless camera, do you?
Yeah, he does.
What?
Well, I do. I've got an R6, haven't I? We use it for video.
That's right. That is right. Okay, fair enough.
So, but I just didn't pay any attention to that because, like James says, I'm not nerdy.
I'm not sure it's the kind of thing they do in general in your basic specs, but maybe, I'm not sure. Anyway, you both got an idea? You got a number down?
I've written a number down. I know what ballpark it will be in. So.
Okay, right, let's move on.
Round 2. Multiple choice.
All right, well, in this round, I'm going to ask a question which is quite difficult, so to help you out, there are 4 possible answers. You need to tell me which one you think is the correct one. Here is the question. Petapixel, which we know all about, is a photography news website. What does PETA stand for? A, 1 million, B, 1 billion, C, 1 trillion, or D, 1 quadrillion? That is the PETA in petapixel.
Right, okay.
I thought it stood for something else.
So what are the answers again, Ruth, quickly?
A, 1 million, B, 1 billion, C, 1 trillion, or D, 1 quadrillion?
Okie dokie. All right.
That's in the affirmative for Marcus. James, you got something down?
Mm-hmm. I've written a letter down.
All right, excellent.
Round 3. Name the year.
All right, well, in this round, the answer to the question is, of course, a year. The round goes to whoever gets the closest answer. If either of you gives me the exact one, you get a bonus point. Marcus has done this twice now, which is quite impressive. So this is obviously Marcus's area of expertise. Question. In what year did advances in photographic shutter speed finally settle the debate about whether a galloping horse ever has all 4 hooves off the ground?
Oh, I think I might know this.
I know the photo.
Because my friend Dave the Baker, big shout out to Dave, but I think it was his great-grandfather actually had something to do with Mr. Mybridge here. You want the year that the picture was taken?
I do.
Or the year of his... But do you say the year of it? I wasn't listening. I got excited because I thought I'd know, and then I didn't hear the question.
Basically, the year the picture was taken that settled that debate.
The picture was taken,
yeah.
Not the year of his birth or whatever.
Not the year of his birth. I thought that'd be a bit too much for you guys.
Okay, yeah, got that.
Yeah. James, got something down?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
All right, excellent.
Round 4. Artificial intelligence.
All right, everybody's favourite round. In this round, I asked ChatGPT to describe a photographic object, person, or practice without mentioning the name of the subject. All I need you to do is tell me what I asked it to talk about. Now, James, based on your feedback from last month, we've removed the bloke and we've got a lady back in. Here she is.
I separate what was once unified. I remove responsibility from the finger that captures and give it instead to one that prepares. I am rarely discovered by accident, but once adopted, I am seldom abandoned. I change nothing in the image itself, yet everything in how it is made. What am I?
Marcus looking ever so slightly... I think that's a smug look. It could be I'm thinking look.
There was something in there, and I'm not going to say what it is. There was something in there that made me think, oh, hello, and everything else fit in a little bit with it.
Is it to do with the little finger?
What, the
finger? No, not your pinky finger, the one that you hold up when you're playing your pool snooker shots. No, I think it's to do with something to do with...
Right, okay, yeah. Both got something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our final round.
Round 5. Take a wild guess.
Alrighty, well, as the name suggests, this round requires an answer which could be almost anything, so you're unlikely to get it exact. You will need to take a wild guess. As with round 2, the point goes to whoever gets the closest to the answer, and if you do get the exact answer, which is extremely unlikely, there are 2 bonus points. Here is the question. The largest panoramic image in the world is 2048 gigapixels. How many individual exposures make up this image?
How many gigapixels did you say?
2048.
2048.
Mark's going to do some math by the sounds of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he?
I don't know. I think it looks like he might be trying to figure it out. Average image size divided by or whatever.
So is it a panorama stitch? It's
a panorama stitch.
Okay. Right. Okay, I've got my number.
Okay. James?
I've written down a number, but I have absolutely... I need more coffee to do math, so I've written down a number.
Right, it's all right. It's a wild guess anyway, so even if you did the math,
I've not a clue.
it'd be interesting if you got it bang on. All right, well, let's go back over the questions and see how you did. Round 1 was photography trivia. I asked you how many lens elements are in the Canon RF 24-105. That's the f4L ISUSM if you are very interested. Let's go first to James. What did you put down?
I have written down Sweet 16.
Okay.
I think it's always an odd number, but anyway. I've got 13.
Okay, so this is not for the closest, it's for the exact, and so both wrong. The answer was 18. So James was the closest on this one.
But I get sweet 16 for it, basically.
You got sweet 16. It's 18 elements. The RF version has got more than the old DSLR version, which was 17. For comparison, the Canon, we're just talking the Canon RF series, just to keep things simple. The lens with the most elements in that series is the... In fact, do you want to guess? Lens with the most in this series? Anyone? Before I tell you.
Well, it's got to be a zoom lens, surely, because
it is a zoom
they're
lens.
more complex.
Is it the 200, 800 or something like that?
It's not. It's the 100 to 300, which has got 26 elements in 18 groups. And the one with the least is the Canon RF50, the Prime. It's only got 6. So there we go.
So my theory about it always being an odd number was completely
bang off.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Round 2 was multiple choice. I asked you what peta in petapixel actually stands for. The options were 1 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion, or 1 quadrillion. That's A, B, C, and D. Marcus, let's go for you first on this one.
So I went for C, 1 trillion.
Okay.
Oh, at least we're different. I went for D.
Okay, the answer was D. 1 quadrillion.
Oh, for goodness.
That's 1 followed by 15 zeros, in case you're wondering.
I thought you just made that up.
No, peta.
I didn't even know that was a...
I had not. Yeah. I was curious about the name of it, and I was researching it. So peta is a scientific prefix. A petapixel is a trillion megapixel scale image, which is basically absurdly huge, which is the point, I think, of the name of that. So there we go. 1 quadrillion was the correct answer. Well done, James. Round 3 was name the year. Okay, in which year did advances in photographic shutter speed finally settle the debate about whether a galloping horse ever has all 4 hooves off the ground? We are going to go to James first on this one because he had some knowledge.
So I think I'll be close, and I hope I'm bang on for the extra point. 18. I'm looking at his face there. That little squirrely. It's got nuts tucked in his cheeks. 1880 is what I've written down, so I can't change it.
Okay. Marcus?
So I've gone 1901.
Okay. So this is the closest.
Yeah.
Which is James. It wasn't correct, though. It was 1878, and Edward Muybridge, as you said. Yeah, he set up a row of cameras along a racetrack, each triggered by tripwires as the horse ran past. This created a rapid sequence of images freezing in motion for the first time and proved that all 4 hooves do leave the ground, but when the legs are tucked underneath the body and not stretched out as people had previously believed, which is why all these old paintings always look so odd, I think, in an age of photography. So 1878, pretty close, James. Not far off. And yeah, his name is spelled odd. It's instead of Edward, E-E-D-W-A-R-D.
It's an E-A, I think.
It's
is that right?
E-A-D-W-E-R-D. E-A-R-D.
Yeah.
Weird, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a name. Maybe his mum was had a bit too much to drink. Anyway, there we go. That was round 3. Round 4, artificial intelligence. What had I asked it to speak of? Let's go first. You were both wiggling your fingers around. So, James, what did you think it was?
It's not really your finger. I think it's your thumb. I think it's probably, what have I written down? BBF, which is a big, beautiful female, I think, or back button focus.
That's what I've got as well. Look, Ruth, I'm going to have to cover up my second. Oh, there we go.
Back button. There it is. Okay, you got a point each. That was correct. Back button focus. Okay, round 5 was the largest pano image in the world. This is take a wild guess. It's 2048 megapixels, and how many individual exposures make up this image? So it's closest to...
And it's not 2000 for you didn't say megapixels, you said gigapixels.
I did say gigapixels.
Okay, but just then you said
I
megapixels.
apologise. 2048 gigapixels, that was what I meant,
Right,
yeah. Individual images, please. James, what do you reckon it was?
Oh, can't he go first? And then I can either add a 0 or subtract a 0. I've no idea. I wrote down 50k because it's what Iceland are offering.
50,000 you've put down.
In terms of cash.
Right, okay.
I've no idea.
Marcus, what do you reckon?
Yeah, we see the thing is, Ruth, James is in the right ballpark, I believe. But without knowing what camera was used, it's literally just a stab in the dark because, if you use a 20 megapixel camera, it's going to be completely different to if you use a 100 megapixel camera.
We could rename the round Stab in the Dark. Maybe.
Yeah, well,
better.
because Ruth said to you at that point, are you doing the maths based upon an average megapixeled camera? So I thought you were. And an average megapixel would be about, so 30, 40... Probably these days.
Okay, so I've done the calculations based on a 60 megapixel camera with a bit of overlap because obviously you'd need a bit of overlap, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Okay. What did you have?
I've put 40,568, but I think James might be the closest here because it might be between the two and it might be upper.
What, between 48 and 50,000? And mine is a total wild guess.
No. I put 40,000. I put 40,568.
Oh, well, I'm very happy with my answer, Ruth. Thank you very much.
Okay. So you're both extremely off, but there is a closest because there has to be, and sadly that is James. It was 366,843 individual images.
Yeah, we must have used a really small megapixel camera then.
So, you can find this out for yourself. Here we go. So it was a photograph which you can actually look at online. I've done it. I've zoomed in. It's incredible. You can see what's in the dashboard of a vehicle off to this. Anyway, it was a photograph taken in Oslo, in Norway, 2023, from a ski tower. It was published just last year. It was utilising multi-frame super resolution with sub-pixel alignment of up to 20 samples per image, applying optical flow correction and performing median stacking. Basically, it took them 2 years to pin this thing together. And it's taken from a really high up ski tower. If you know the place, it's the Holmenkollen Ski Tower in 2023. And it's fantastic because you can see so far out into the town. There's cars in car parks and you can zoom right in and see what the teddy on their dashboard is and stuff like that. It's fantastic. 2048 pixels. So that is 2 trillion, which might have helped you before, 48,432,021,632 pixels. I mean, that is mammoth.
Well, this is a podcast for the lover of numbers, isn't it? If you like your zeros, you're in the right place.
Still haven't told us what camera it was taken on.
Do you know, I didn't actually write down which camera it was taken on, but you can check it out for yourself. There is a link in the show notes. Marek and August Razufsky took that. I think it's a father and son. I could be wrong. But check that out for yourself. Because
essentially, Ruth,
yes.
I know I'm sounding a little bit like sour grapes because I lost the round.
You
right?
wanted
okay,
more
but
information,
it's essentially,
basically.
No, you're essentially saying, right, okay, the question could have been, this morning, a photographer took a photo. How many megapixels was it? Because we don't know what camera they were holding, do we?
Isn't he lovely when he's wound up?
If you'd known the camera, do you reckon you'd have got it as specific as 366,843?
No, but it would have given me, because I was working out on a 60 megapixel camera with a bit of overlap.
You were miles away from the answer.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, we'll rename it Stab in the Dark. It's a good name for the round, Ruth.
Okay. Anyway.
What's the round called at the moment?
Wild guess.
Impossible to answer.
How to upset Marcus easily.
Oh, right. Okay. Anyway, final scores 4-1 to James.
And I didn't know, apart from Edward Myfridge, I didn't know anything. Excellent.
Which, I mean, that gives us 4-1. In fact, in total on games. So James is still ahead on that. And points wise, let me just tot this up. It's now 16-9.
9.
So I'm ahead on games and goal difference well ahead as well. Excellent.
Yeah.
If you manage to score higher than James, do let us know what score. Also, if you would like to submit any questions, and I know I say this every month, but it is really useful, for any of the rounds, do please send them in. Remember, we have now got a dedicated email address. It is podcast@mc2photography.com.
Listeners from an unlikely location.
All right, well, we do like to say hi to people from slightly more unusual places, and this was brought to my attention, so it's got to be mentioned. It's a country I'd never actually heard of, which I am embarrassed to admit. One listener in Togo last month. Now, hands up if you know where that is, chaps.
It's next door to Benin.
There you go, straight out there, James, with his hands. That's hilarious. I just got mixed up with thinking of Tobago, like as in Trinidad and Tobago. So when I googled it, I was like, oh, there it is. It's a wee sliver in West Africa. Anyway, if you're
it's
the person,
one of the most important countries, Ruth, in the world historically.
Is it? And why is that?
Because of the unpleasantness of the slave trade and things like that.
Okay, interesting. So if you're a person listening in Togo, Ndi, I believe is how you say hello over there, Ndi to you. I wanted to mention Switzerland. Switzerland's in at number 8, and I'm not sure if we've mentioned them before. They've got 4 official languages, and so just to get through them all, German, hallo, which is, we've done this before, French, bonjour, Italian is ciao. Do you guys know what the 4th one is?
The language is...
Yeah, I don't actually know.
It's a funny word. It's not a word we'd have heard of. Go on, put us out of our misery.
It's Romansh, and it's spoken in the Swiss Alps. So Bundi is, I believe, how you say hello or good day. And you seeing the similarities here.
Doesn't sound very romantic at all.
D for D in Romansh, and it's Ndi in Togo, and Day, Dias, Dia. There's a lot of similarities, obviously, over the world. So there we go. Anyway, Bundi, if you are listening in the Swiss Alps, and Indi, if you are listening over in Togo. Please do get in touch. Tell us about yourself. We love knowing where people are listening in from. We do the stats. Occasionally they're incorrect, but it's fascinating just to find out. Again, podcast at mc2photography.com, or leave a comment on whatever platform you're listening on. We did have quite a few comments on last month's podcast. Now, this was an update from Dixon Liu, about the Sigma rice story. Sigma, obviously a lens company and cameras now. And we mentioned last month that they were starting to grow rice under their name, which is quite interesting. We were curious why. So Dixon just gave us a little update. He said Japan changed a law starting in April, so this past month, that allows rice production to be based on demand instead of basing it on predetermined numbers, which is what it used to be, that was discouraging higher production. And so, in addition to restoring the rice fields in Aizu, where younger people don't want to farm anymore, what Sigma is doing is helping to alleviate high rice prices that their employees may be facing. So thank you, Dixon, for the update on Sigma's rice venture. Peter Grant got in touch by email. This is regarding our 7-in-1 29 pocketed jacket. He said, I was looking for a suitable outdoor jacket for a wildlife photography course in the Cairngorms, that's in Scotland. In the winter, as my old jacket was not the most appropriate, I saw an advertisement on Facebook for the 7-in-1 jacket in olive, not red, at €150 plus €50 shipping. I was happy to forgo the signatures at €200 extra. €200 extra, I know.
You haven't interrupted. That can't be true.
I believe he actually, it's not just the one chap that we mentioned last month. There's other people that put their signatures on them. So €200 extra for the signature. Anyway, he bought it. He wore the jacket, fleece puffer jacket in various combos, both in the Cairngorms and a few weeks later in Iceland. And happy to say he kept warm throughout and never lost his lens caps. So thank you for that.
Did he try the 7th way of wearing them by wearing none at all?
I figured out after the podcast wrapped last month what the 7th way, I just missed one of them out. So there are 7 ways technically of doing that. But Peter's happy. He's a happy purchaser, but he did pay half the price. Roy got in touch. He said, here we are 57 years later. He's quoting you, Marcus. Here we are 57 years later, and basically repeating something that was done before any of us were born. Talk about lack of progress. This is Marcus talking last month.
My words, yeah.
Says the photographer who reverted to using 140-plus-year-old technology and who repeatedly visits the same locations dozens of times per year.
Go on, son, you stick it into McAdam.
Yeah, well, that's why I do it, because of the lack of progress. You might as well just stick with the old tried and tested methods.
They work. So thanks for getting in touch. That's about the podcast. A few people commenting on the various YouTube shows that went out through April. J.S. McCavity got a bit of sharpness envy when I saw the close-up of the nails. Actually, for a moment, the words "I want to use film now" went through my head, and this was based on the we almost blew up Adobe feature where Marcus was using large format, and so you're getting close.
So
Marcus.
You wouldn't get that with digital. You would not get that with digital, Ruth.
On the other hand, Old Girl Photography said, wow, very impressive, but the effort to collect the image and to do something with it after the fact reminds me why I switched from film as soon as I could. I would never work with anything that large. I gave up working that hard in 2014. So,
is that your alter ego, Ruth?
To me? Bit harsh. Or why is it harsh? Anyway, the Tripod Factory Tour was one of the videos that went out last month as well, which was really, really interesting. Hyphen Photography got in touch. He said, it was thanks to seeing Nick's Kingjoy tripod at a brief meeting on Sky that I immediately ordered one and picked it up from the Photography Online HQ. It's a superb bit of kit and has resulted in my Gizzo being left in the cupboard. Thank you, Hyphen Photography. And Luigi13 said, it's great to see how a product is made and hearing how it performs from professional photographers. After all, the tripod holds your very expensive camera when photographing out in the field, and it has to be sturdy and dependable. Thanks for the video. It was a good introduction to the manufacturer Kingjoy. So thank you everybody for getting in touch. We always appreciate your feedback. Do keep it coming. All right, we're going to move on to our final part of the show and have a look at some stuff.
It may be new. It may even be exciting. But does the world really need it?
Right, Marcus, this first one, I got to say, to me is kind of exciting, but it could go either way here. Why don't you explain what this first item is?
So this, Ruth, is the world's first integrated light meter wristwatch designed exclusively for photographers. So the company behind this are called Increment Labs. And they've named this innovative watch the LMW-V1. So that goes nicely with your, kind of theory that people who name stuff, Ruth, aren't that creative.
Light meter watch version 1, I'm guessing that's what that is.
Yeah, that could be it. So it's an abbreviation. But I think we could
do something better than that.
We could invite people to make better suggestions, like the light watch. How's that?
That's cool.
Or time meter. Watch your exposure. Hey. Watch your exposure. Now, come on.
That's pretty good, I got to say.
I'm wasted sitting in this chair.
Cool. Do you remember those good old days when we used to work together in a different life and he'd be in creative meetings and then I'd have to pick up all the trouble afterwards?
Now then, moving on. The selling points of this fantastic watch are, this is from the company themselves. So this is not my thing. This is what they're selling it from. So if you buy this watch, apparently, you can learn manual exposure fast by training your eye on exposure everywhere you go.
Fair.
Now, that is, I can't disagree with that because, as we all know...
Is that called looking?
Yeah, but as we all know, James, the ability to be able to look at a scene and go, that's F8 at 1/250th ISO 100 is useful. Lots of people will be on location and they'll say to me, Marcus, what's the exposure of that? And I will just look at it and I will tell you. So it's a good thing to be able to do. And they're saying that this watch will help you do that because you can train your eye to, basically become a human light meter. Moving on, it gives you instant access to superior ergonomics to regular light meters. Now,
not true.
Not quite sure. Yeah, no, not agreeing with that one.
Well, it can't be superior when it's on your wrist to one that's held in your hand.
I agree. But moving on, James, if that hasn't sold you, it also has an alarm for golden hour.
What is golden hour, Marcus? Tell me. When is that?
Golden hour, well, it happens twice a day, actually, James. It's basically the first hour after sunrise and the last hour before sunset when the light is very warm and hence...
Isn't that marginally dependent upon where you are geographically and your subject matter?
Yeah, kind of, but it's basically saying that this watch has an alarm to wake you up. So, you can do away with your phone now or your alarm clock because this is all done. It has a darkroom safe backlight. So, you can look at your watch in the darkroom and not fog your film. So, in fact, it will still fog the film, actually. It wouldn't fog the paper. So
it would fog the film, yeah.
Yeah. It's made in the UK. Hooray!
Yes!
But this is the one that will really get you. If you're not sold so far, James, this is the one that's going to have you reaching for your wallet. It gives you 24/7 access to a meter.
Right.
Now, my current light meters, which I don't wear on my wrist, they pack up. If I try and use them when they're not on shift, they say, no, we're not working for you now. You have to wait. And so, yeah, this one is on your wrist all the time and it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, apparently. Unlike all other light meters, which only work when on their terms. Now, this is a Kickstarter campaign which launches in the first quarter of next year. So you've still got a little while to wait for this, yes. It's £110 if you're a VIP. Now, to become a VIP, it's going to cost you £1.50. So we can actually say it's £111.50, this watch. Okay. However, you can enter to win the watch on the website. And if you do win the watch, they will refund you the VIP fee of £1.50.
Seriously?
Because that's important.
I'm entering the giveaway right now.
You have to become a VIP, I guess, to enter. But if you do win, they will refund you your entry fee of £1.50. Because I think that's important.
So come on, you're being a little bit facetious here. What's your real view of the watch? We'll accept that it works accurately, because I think we have to accept that.
Yes. Personally, I would not want to use a watch. I like to look through a light meter and see where I'm metering from.
Yeah, but you're a little niche like that because you meter for multiple areas of a scene. I would encourage people even shooting digitally to use handheld light meters, but you don't necessarily always have to use a spot meter, which is predominantly one of the tools that you do use. So I know you use it to varying degrees, but you meter for multiple parts of a scene. But to get used to using a light meter and used to what the light's doing, a handheld meter is a good tool to have in the bag.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I don't know the details of this watch, but I can't see how it can possibly spot meter, because that's a complete. So I'm guessing it's measuring the ambient light only, which is fine. However, it's very limited in its use in that situation, because let's just say you're in the mountains and you're in a valley and you want to photograph the sunlight hitting the top of a mountain that's 2 miles away. You can't then use that meter because you're standing in the shadow, and so you can't meter for the sunlight unless you've got really long arms, and then you could put your arm up into the sunlight and then meter for it. But in a lot of situations, metering for the light where you are as the photographer rather than where your subject is are two totally different areas, and that's why spot metering is a lot more accurate and useful. There are situations where incident light readings are useful and beneficial, but I would say that they're in the minority.
The key thing with this, Ruth, is, and that we're going to take them that it works accurately, the key thing is you'd have to use it extremely carefully. And in order to do that, most of the time you'd actually have to remove it from your wrist. So you might as well just have a light meter. But fair enough on the innovation anyway.
Yeah, no, I think if it encourages people to use a separate meter to the one that's in their camera, then this is a good thing, because as they correctly say, it will expand people's knowledge of exposure and light, and being able to judge it by eye.
And it gives you a different reading to what it's reading a different form of light to what your camera is, in terms of it incidental as opposed to reflective. So there's nothing wrong with that. So as a tool to broaden your knowledge of what the light is doing, as long as the light is within an arm's reach, then yeah, absolutely.
All right, so hit, miss or fail, what do we reckon? Sorry, hit, miss or fail. Not hit, fail or almost is what I meant to say.
Yeah, it's definitely not a fail. It's between a hit and a maybe.
No, I think you can give it a hit. Give it a hit, because
it's made in the UK.
There we go. And we'll give you an update next middle of 2027 when it's when James has got his through the post. All right, well, that was the light meter wristwatch, or the LMV-V1. Let's move on to the second one, which was actually sent in. So thank you, Florian Patzval emailed in to suggest this one, and it seemed to ring a bell with me as something very similar to what we have potentially done before, or talked about before, or used before. James has been confused, but I will illuminate you.
No, you made them, didn't you?
It did indeed.
So it is a Photo Dash, which is a card game, basically. So I think what you're alluding to is, Ruth, you gave us a set of cards with some icons on and sent us off on a jolly jaunt across this country on a challenge. And if you'd known about this particular website, which is makeplayingcards.com, you would have made your life a lot easier.
Oh, really? Rats, that was very complex.
I know. So this website would have actually done it. But within this website, which is a kind of host site, somebody has uploaded a load of 2 sets of playing cards, so you can have a premium set, Marcus, which is what you and I would have, and we could send Harry and Nick off with the standard card set, I should say. So ours will be in a nice tin box, and theirs will be in a cardboard packet, and for £30 and £20. But the actual game itself is is it an interesting concept? I think it probably is, considering what we've done for challenges in the past and things like that. So I'm presuming because there's not a lot of pictures on the website, and I did search. I don't know if you actually seen pictures of this on the website anyway, Ruth, and I did look.
I haven't. No, I've just seen the text.
Yeah, so you get a set of playing cards, and on them, well, I'll read the blurb. I'm not always a big one for reading the blurb, but in this case, I will. Players draw cards to receive unique photography prompts combining subject, style, and a twist, and race against the clock or each other to capture the perfect shot. It's designed for photographers of all levels. Photo Dash pushes players to think outside the box, explore their environment, and sharpen their skills in fast-paced, fun-filled rounds. What do you reckon, Marcus? Are you up for a bit of fast-paced, fun-filled photography?
Oh, yeah, I'm always up for that, James. You know me.
So without actually seeing what's on the cards, it's kind of hard to know. But the idea, I think, would work well. And I think I was with you, Ruth. We've 2 or 3 times earlier in the year, we saw some kids taking pictures. One was at the Callanish Stones, for sure, I was with you. And there was somewhere else, was youngsters taking pictures. And it's really inspiring to watch them doing it. And this is youngsters with, I say, proper cameras as opposed to just iPhones. So they had to think about, things like focal length a little bit more. So I think for young kids to get into photography and sometimes not knowing quite what to go and photograph, adding an element of jeopardy to it, I think something like this, if it's what I imagine, so it's got a picture of a tree on one card, I don't know, it's got a picture of, a focal length or a lens or a height or a distance on another card, and it's got a timing element. I can see that it could kind of work for youngsters to get them, engaged in photography. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all.
As a game, though, James, it sounds absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I'm talking about it for children, not for you. No,
absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. I think it's great for providing incentive for people to go out and take photos, but as a game, it's absolutely hideous because who judges the photos apart from anything else? It's subjective, so you're going to end up in an argument with someone going, well, that doesn't achieve the objective, and someone going, well, yes, it does, and then before you know it, someone's throwing a pack of cards at somebody else, and they're all going over.
Really? There's a little insight, folks, into Marcus's childhood.
That's yeah, exactly. I'm watching right now. It's almost an hour long, so I'm not going to watch all of it. There's an hour-long video on YouTube about them doing this photo challenge, 3 friends in San Francisco. Episode 3, in fact, it says. So there's obviously more of them. And it actually looks, it looks interesting. I've not seen a huge amount of it. But I think the idea is just to get your mates together, give you a focus, something to do, and go out and have a good day out, basically, as opposed to...
And that's where it's great. But as a game, I'm saying as a game.
Yeah, the Jeopardy. You need Jeopardy. Jeopardy. It's all
Can't you just
about
be
it.
inspired to spend time with a mate? No, nothing, none of that rubbish.
No, I'm agreeing with that part of it, Ruth. I'm agreeing with that part of it. I'm just saying that as a game, it's rubbish.
Listen, he gets upset losing at table tennis to you and at snooker to me. So just remember that, Ruth. He would get upset at this.
Listen, I haven't lost at snooker to you for years, James.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Revisionist.
Okay, well, the way they've done it on their website, having looked at it, they've actually put the photos up for a public vote. So which is your favourite photo from round 1?
Where did you find all of this?
Well, I did some research while you were talking. You just type in whatever I typed in, photo dash card game, and there's a website from the makers of it, and they're obviously doing this. They're going around. The video's really good, actually. They're going around, spending a day somewhere, and they're putting up those images for public consumption, getting actual votes.
Do you think they stole the idea from you originally, Ruth, with your icons challenge?
I reckon they completely, yes. I mean, why wouldn't you? What a genius idea that was.
So you need to drop them a line and ask for a little percentage.
Of what? Yeah, well, the 30 quid with a tin, yeah, or 20 quid with the cardboard. Anyway, that's called the Photo Dash card game. If you would like some inspiration, maybe you're just stuck in a rut and you're just trying to think, right, what can I do? And here's something that will help you get out and about for a day. The Photo Dash card game. Check out the show notes for that. Marcus, into something which I have the funniest feeling that I've seen us use before, but I could be wrong. What's this all about?
No, you have. So this is not just any lens hood, but the ultimate lens hood. It completely removes glare and reflections when shooting through glass. And you are correct that must have been probably 3 or 4 years ago, we used something very, very similar to photograph, I think it was penguins swimming underwater.
It was penguins. young Harry and myself went to the zoo for the day.
Yes, and we were photographing penguins swimming underwater, which obviously has to be done shot through glass. And we were using exactly this kind of concept, which I think we spent like £3.99 off of Amazon to get. But this company are claiming that they're making the ultimate lens hood, not copying anyone else's. And they have given some examples of when the product might be of use. And these include taking a photo from outside a building looking in. Can you think of any time when that would be suitable, James? Wouldn't you just go inside the building?
No, if you're shooting a cafe or something and you want to do it from a bit further away.
Well, you'd have to be against the glass one way or the other.
Well, that's what I mean. If you're standing outside, James quite often does these kind of commercial shots where he's looking through a window, people eating and drinking.
Yeah, but if you're looking through a window, you want it to look like you're shooting through a window. You don't want to then remove the reflections, because then it will look like you're inside the cafe, in which case...
So the answer to the question is very simple. The only reason you would ever do this is if you run out of space, basically.
And you want to go back further than the window, so you have to go outside and then shoot through the window.
Yes, correct. But that's going to gain you a foot, 2 feet at most, because then you clearly need the lens.
I've never, in my 30 years of taking photos, never once have I been outside a building, shooting in through the glass, thinking, this is great. Why don't I just go inside the building and shoot from my back with...
Okay, but there are some examples that look a little bit more realistic. Well, some.
So let's go on then, Ruth. So another example, which is very realistic, is a fighter pilot shooting another plane through the window as he flies his fighter jet.
I love that one.
Now, that's a situation we're all in.
It's, to be fair, that would work. It does work in that scenario because that glass is curved. It would be a nightmare to shoot through that.
Absolutely. But how often are we in that situation? So, and the product also promises drone-like images through glass. Now, that assumes that you can get up high enough, obviously, to shoot an aerial view looking down. But you'd surely just get a drone, wouldn't you? But anyway, basically, it's a rubber lens hood, the likes of which have been around since the 1980s. It comes in 4 sizes, this particular company. You get a small for £17, James. You can get a medium-sized one for £20, or you can get a large one for £30. And then there's a mobile version as well, which is for your phone, obviously, which looks about half the size of the small option, and that's £15, although it's currently on offer for £10. So get it now while you can.
I'm glad you've cleared all that up. The most interesting picture on here at all is where they've reversed it and they're actually using it as a waterproof camera cover.
Right, okay, we're coming on to that. You can, of course, get the bundle, full house bundle, for only £65. That gives you a saving of £12, and then you get 4, all different sizes for all different situations. Like so.
This podcast really is a treat for those that like numbers, this, isn't it, Ruth?
It is, yes. It's now, the website shows how versatile this ultimate lens hood can be. Not only can it be used to eliminate reflections next time you're flying your fighter jet, but it can also be used as a weather shield, as James just said, for your camera. So there's a picture of a photographer using the ultimate lens hood to shield his camera, presumably from the rain, yet the front of the lens is totally unprotected. So
you'd need 2.
If it's raining, how can you take a photo when they've got water all over the front of your lens? Because it's not protecting that.
Well, you need 2. You need 2. It's not rocket science, Marcus. You need 2.
So you need one facing forwards and one facing backwards. I don't think you can fit 2, James. You'd have to glue them together because, anyway, there is another use. There is another use for it. The website also shows that it can be used as a rubber mat to put your camera down onto a rock if you wish. So I just use my bag, but if you don't have a bag, then you can carry a camera in one hand. You can carry your lens.
No, it's a protective pad. A protective pad. That's what it is.
But you just have your bag. You'd have your bag on the rock, wouldn't you? And you just put.
I think you're being cynical.
One of the slightly more realistic things which we failed to mention is one of the shots taken from up high. So if you're up on top of, I don't know, Trump Tower or whatever tall buildings are around these days with safety glass in front of you, and the first thing people want to do is take out their phone and take a picture. But obviously smeared glass, fingerprints, nose prints, all that stuff. Putting, I guess, something like that, that's actually quite useful. Or for what you guys were doing, obviously in aquariums, things like that, where you want to take the shot that's behind the glass. There's no other options.
Yes, but the point is, Ruth, that these have been around for 20, 30, 40 years, and you can get them for far cheaper just by buying an unbranded one. But if you want to spend £30, then you can buy one from H,
Ultimate
which stands for
Lens Hood.
Ultimate Lens Hood. So, and I like the voice for Ultimate Lens Hood.
That's well, it's all about the branding, isn't it? I mean, they've been around for years, and obviously they thought there's a market here that people aren't aware that they're around. But anyway, yeah, Ultimate Lens Hood. There is some. I mean, like I have to say, the first picture I saw was a fighter pilot, and I thought, yeah, that's applicable to all of us. But there are some useful tools. Useful uses, I should say, on there, which you can have a look at if you're interested in that. I just noticed the picture that you were chatting about where it has it inverted, so his face is protected, but the lens is clear.
I know. And so the only reason to ever do that, Ruth, is if it's raining, right?
Well, yeah.
And then in which case you've now got rain all over the front of your lens and you can't take a photo anyway. So that is completely pointless. I'm sorry.
I love it. Anyway, check it out for yourself if it sounds useful. Something that is probably not very useful, but certainly quite nice looking. James, what's our next item?
So we're going to talk about Small Rig, and it's not a company we've mentioned at all, I think, or much, certainly. And they have developed a stylish wooden grip and tripod plate for the Fujifilm X E5. But rather than go into too much detail about this particular camera's plate, I think it's worth mentioning the products that Small Rig make. So it's a good firm, and they're always solid, they're always reliable. I use a lot of their stuff, Ruth, and I have wooden grips for some of the video cameras that bolt onto the bottom of the Canons that we already use.
Why?
Just to you can basically bolt
classy?
other accessories to. No,
Yeah,
not
but
at
it's the
all,
wooden
actually.
part I'm intrigued by. I mean, who makes wooden kits?
Well, Small Rig have been doing wooden handles on stuff for quite a long time, actually, and their products are really good and solid. So basically, if you were to buy this Fujifilm X-E5, you would, if you want to put it on a tripod, you'd have to put a plate on it. If you just want to hold it, I mean, I know that these cameras are built, to be small and compact and discreet deliberately. That's the whole point of it. But actually, they're often with big hands that a lot of us gentle fellas have. They're often these cameras are too small to hold anyway, and a grip makes it a lot more comfortable. So, if you are thinking about putting any form of grip on your camera at all, or you need any form of plate on your camera at all, then I would look at Small Rig. If you want a little bit of style added to your camera, I would go back to Small Rig and look at their wooden grips. And they often do composite, so I don't know, plastic or metal grips as well as the wooden variety for most camera manufacturers and brands as well. But yeah, if you're interested in camera cages, your phone rig, or compact grips or brackets or handles or anything at all, have a look at Small Rig, because their products are second to none. I've never had any problem with anything.
I'm curious. It drew my eye because it was a wooden grip, but there's not many people do it. Is there a reason that there's not much stuff out there that is created that way?
I don't know. I mean, it's nice. It's normally quite a hard sort of rosewoody, redwood-ish colour. So, I mean, it stays temperature neutral wood more than any other product. So, I guess that's why they use it. So, I don't know why other manufacturers don't use it as much. I guess it sets Small Rig aside. But if you, as I said, if you want to build your kit, or you just want something simple and classy, then go to the Small Rig site, put in the equipment you have, and it will come up with options for you.
All right, well, sticking with natural materials, Marcus, what's our final gear item this month?
So last month we had an outdoor jacket made especially for photographers. This month we've had a watch, which is also made especially for photographers. So once you've got both of those items, the one thing that you're really going to be missing is the new Sandmarks leather wallet made especially for photographers. Now, you might be thinking, how can a wallet be made for photographers? It's quite simple, really, because you open the wallet and there are 3 little holders for SD cards. So next time you're thinking, James, where do I put my SD cards? You remember we've had a previous necklace, haven't we, where you put a little memory card?
Oh yeah, we were going to get one of those for Harry, weren't we? A little SD card necklace.
But obviously, necklaces don't really suit you. So this is what you need. You need the Sandmarks photographer's wallet, which will hold only a little bit of money. Because if it's a wallet designed for photographers, it's assumed that you don't have much money because you spent it all on gear. Mm-hmm. Okay, so only a little bit of money can go in there, but a lot of memory cards can go in there. So some interesting comments on the Petapixel post for this product from readers are Entoman says, so if you drop your wallet, you now lose all your cash, all your cards and all your photos.
Nice.
Yeah, Todd, yes. Anyone who keeps their wallet in their back pocket will crack their SD cards.
Correct.
This is a terrible idea. And then GGG says, the only people who would buy this are the spouses of photographers who don't know what else to buy them as a gift.
Also
what an
correct.
absolute waste of what an absolute waste of time, money and leather.
Leather. But this capture wallet, Mark, as it says, it develops a unique patina with use. So in other words, what they're kind of saying is, in the old days, whatever you kept in your wallet, the patina obviously is, wear and pattern. But do you remember in the old days, whatever you kept in your wallet, you would get that outline would slowly make its way through?
Yes.
So now you'll end up with the sort of outline of a memory card on your wallet, as opposed to what people used to have in the old days, which was maybe that one solitary condom that was carried around forever in their wallet. So we'll have to get one of these for Harry now.
Yeah. So I just think we've got to stop with this nonsense of making, things for photographers that we don't need. I mean, last month I joked, whatever next, are we going to have some boots that are made for photographers? We don't need it. Okay, stop it now, please.
It's branding, though, isn't it? They're going to go, what can I do? I'll add 2 extra bits of stitching and call it a photographer's wallet. People will buy it. And like you say, yes, spouses and partners and friends who don't know what else to buy people. James, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you've ticked it anyway, Ruth. The only difference with this wallet is 2 extra bits of stitching to make sure that the SD card can't even. It has to be out of its little plastic wallet anyway that a lot of SD cards come in, because I don't think it would fit. So it's just making sure that they've got a risk of falling out, and all of the exposed bits of the I don't know what you call it on the back of the SD card. What do you call the metal foily bits?
The pins?
Yeah, whatever it is, are completely exposed and will get wrecked in your wallet. And this is probably the worst thing we've ever featured ever.
You say worse, not as in quality. I mean, it looks like a perfectly decent leather wallet, to be perfectly honest.
It doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter what the patina of the leather is, does it? It could be made of crocodile skin.
But you could have one. No, but it's not like the necklace. Nobody would know you had a photographer's wallet. They would just, it's understated.
Yeah, but would you put your memory... You can see the picture, Ruth. Would you put your memory card in there? No, not in 100 million years.
In a pinch, if I didn't have anywhere else to put one and I had to... I mean, I found a memory card in my car last week, which I'd lost for about a month because I stuck it in my
that was
pocket.
The one that had recordings on it that Marcus was looking for.
No, it was a different one. But that's what I mean. Sometimes you have one and you're like, oh, I don't have my bag on me. But yeah. Anyway, it's sorry, Marcus, you were going to say something.
I've forgotten what it was now.
Never mind. Anyway, I realised we've forgotten to do the hit, fails or almost for most of these. So let's just finish strong.
We'll definitely give this one a miss. This one's definitely a whack.
Have you got the hit button? Because
are you going to do these? Are you going to do these after the fact, James? What are we doing?
Yeah, no, I want to give Small Rig a hit because we don't talk about them enough, and they're good.
Small Rig, wooden grip. I mean, Small Rig in general, they're an amazing brand. The wooden grip was what kind of piqued me. The Ultimate Lens Hood. What did we reckon on that one?
I think it's a miss, only because it's not new and you could get it much cheaper. Exactly the same thing.
Okay, there we go. And what other one did we miss? The Photo Dash card game. What do we reckon on that one? Plagiarised from us.
Oh, let's give it a hit. Just to it was plagiarised, but to annoy Marcus, we'll give it a hit.
That's going to be featuring Marcus's Christmas stocking 2026 potentially.
Oh yeah, good idea.
In case we run out of ideas for the show, you're just going to go, I'm really stuck. Right, let's just pick a couple of cards and. There's a feature waiting for us anyway. There we go. You can check out all the links to the gear stuff we have been talking about in the show notes on whatever platform you are listening on. Just before we finish up, we were speaking with Harry earlier on in the show. Harry is over in Africa. We're missing him very much. And so he was recording a wee bit for us all about the tripod that he's using out there. We were trying to guess where he was on location. So let's go back and have a look. Or have a listen, I should say.
Hello again, Ruth. I've got a great few shots, one of which I'll send to you. But to go back over the clues of my whereabouts, well, it's visible from space, it's got a high density of charismatic game, and it's one of the only rivers that doesn't reach the sea. So, The answer I was looking for was the Okavango Delta. But if you said Botswana, then I'll also accept this as correct. So I'm going to pack up now, head back to the lodge. But the problem with this camouflage tripod is that I can never see where I left it. I'm pretty sure I left it over here somewhere.
Are you sure you weren't with him there, James? I can hear you in the background.
My morning noises.
There we go. It does sound like he's got a dodgy stomach or something. But if you want to see the photo that Harry took of the Okavango Delta, do check out the link, which is in the show notes, along with everything else.
It sounds like he's got malaria, if you ask me.
So, Ruth, do you want a very quick little story about the Okavango Delta?
Oh, if you like.
So I was driving along through there once upon a time, and I got caught a little short. Something was running through me rather quickly. Oh, Ruth's got that expression on, the oh no expression. So I said to my friend Andy, I said, right, you've got to stop the car now. And he was like, we're not stopping now. No, it's an emergency. So we stopped the car in the middle of the bush, and I bolted, and I needed to get out of sight of the vehicle. Trousers down. Oh, that's better. At least there's no terrible disaster, on board, as it were. And I looked up, and about 15 feet in front of me, there was a big male lion just lying, looking at me incredulously on the top of an anthill or a termite mound. And I thought, oh. So that made my bowels move even slightly more quickly than they already were. And I thought, right, fully trained, you know what to do in this situation. Make eye contact, pull your trousers up, and slowly walk back to the vehicle.
Same as when you meet a lady, James.
Exactly. Keep
eye contact, pull your trousers up.
So I was reversing slowly, keeping eye contact with the vehicle. Got to about 20 yards of the vehicle, and adrenaline got the better of me. Ran, and leapt through the window of the vehicle, to the astonishment of Andy, my friend, who was in the vehicle, and turned around to see what the lion was doing. And of course it didn't do anything, because lions very rarely do anything. It was still sitting on the termite mound. And how I didn't see it to start with is, I have no idea. But, when your bowels are moving rapidly, one tends to have slightly blurry vision. So I thought, right, this is a good opportunity. And this was, Marcus, in the proper days of film photography. So I thought, right, I'll get out the old Nikon FM2 with a bolted motor drive on it and take a couple of pictures of this lion sitting there. It was quite a nice light, and it was actually on a termite mound in front of a flood, we called a flay, which is a flooded grassland area. Took a couple of pictures. The lion didn't do anything. We moved the vehicle to get a slightly better angle. The lion didn't do anything. And just as I took one click, frame 36, it started rewinding. An impala appeared, and the lion got up and chased it across the flooded flay, beautifully backlit, my favourite kind of lighting, and the film was going rewinding into the camera. And that was it. So I ended up with no picture and a slightly skiddy pair of underpants.
But a story to tell, and always appreciated. Thank you, James.
I just think, James, if you'd been shooting digitally, you would have got beautiful shots.
I'd have got beautiful pictures, and then I could have, fiddled with the clarity and made them look like AI generated them anyway.
Right. All right. Thank you, James, for that. And we
You're
will
welcome.
be hearing from another team member on location with their tripods next month. So we will be back what are we in? We're in May. We'll be back in June. It'll be summer by then. It'll be proper summer. So until then, take good care. Thank you for listening, and most of all, take good photos.
You've been listening to the Photography Online podcast in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods.